Shalom, thanks for watching Doing Life with Jenny. Today I have a house update for you, and I'll also be talking to you about things that Mexicans do that you might find quirky if you're not from there. Check it out! So a few videos ago, I shared that I'm in the middle of a land dispute. If you don't know, I'm building a house in Mexico. I thought that was going to be resolved amicably between the person claiming to own part of my land and me. As far as the construction itself, we have had to stop that as a result. They were getting ready to start the roof, and that was really the last thing besides doing the interior, like laying the tiles down and painting and whatnot. But we've unfortunately had to take down the supports to start the roof project and put the entire thing on pause. If and when I'm able to give you the details, I will do it, but it will be months, if not up to a year, before I can share that with you. I was originally supposed to get a septic tank, but the neighbors and I are collaborating to go ahead and get like a normal drainage system. I did get an update on that 2 days ago. They have brought the pipes out and they have dug up where they're going to place them. That part of the project is fine because technically that's the city and it's going along the sidewalk or street, not in my property. So yeah, I apologize I can't give much details. If and when I can share those, I will, but it will be months to maybe a year before I can do that. So I apologize. So on to things that Mexicans do that you might find quirky. 1, Mexicans love buckets. My little monsters have joined me. So especially if you are in rural Mexico or you visit a family that is not super wealthy, you're going to see lots of buckets. 1, everyone has a mop bucket. They love to mop. Well, I say that, but it's really like they don't have carpet, they have tile, so they mop instead of vacuuming. So between mopping, loving to wash their cars, I feel like they really care for the cars compared to the US, where we have like McDonald's wrappers and receipts and who knows what in our cars. There's another bucket. And then I mentioned, I think in the last video, that in some cases they take a bath called bañarse a jicarazos, meaning you scoop water out of a bucket to take your bath because there's no running water in the house. So you'll see buckets in the bathroom. Also, if there's no running water, then you have a bucket to pour down the toilet to flush it. And then even sometimes outside, they have, they're not buckets, what are they called? What do you call like the big buckets? I'll insert the word if I think of it. That they use to pour out into an outdoor sink, where they might do dishes out there, or they might do their laundry out there as well. So they just scoop the water out of the bucket into this wash basin. I'll insert a picture of that. Of course, not everybody uses this. I would say most houses have this wash basin on their patio de servicio, which is like their patio slash laundry room. But some people still do use it, not everybody. And just be careful walking down the sidewalk because I almost got splashed with a mop bucket because this lady had just mopped and she poked her head out of the front door, didn't even look to see if anyone was coming, just tossed the mop water down the sidewalk and almost got me. Next, if a female and a male are walking down the sidewalk, the male will always walk on the side of the sidewalk along the street. It's just the polite thing to do there. I just start walking down the sidewalk wherever I end up, but if I'm on the wrong side of the sidewalk, the man will always go and be between me and the street. I mean, it's a nice gesture, but why does the male have to put himself in danger? So just know if you notice people always switching sides on the sidewalk with you, it's probably because you're a female and they're a male, or vice versa. Another thing I've noticed is that Mexicans love to sweep the sidewalk. Once I started preparing for this video, I realized it's not as odd as I thought it was, because what happens is in the US, if we mow the yard or there are leaves, we use the leaf blower. But they don't usually have those there. They just sweep it with a broom to get rid of the dirt and other debris. I mean, I can appreciate it because it looks nice and clean. I've already mentioned the next one in a different video is that they love their chili and lime. almost all of the candy is chili and lime flavored. They put some kind of chili, like chili powder, salsa, on popcorn, and corn on the cob, on fruit. Nothing wrong with it, it's just odd if you come from somewhere that's not the norm. Next, Mexicans have their own little like whistle language. Like in the US, if you're helping someone back up a car, like they have a trailer on the back or a large truck and they're trying to back into a driveway, you're just gonna have them go like this and kind of yell like straighten up, cut the wheel to the left. In Mexico, they have a special whistle that they do to kind of direct the driver. They also have a certain whistle that they do that's basically the equivalent of flipping somebody off. So if you hear a lot of whistling, it's just a way of them communicating. I've made an entire video on the next point, but you'll see people carrying around toilet paper in their purse or pockets. The short answer is because there usually isn't any in public restrooms. But check out the video on bathrooms in Mexico. It is very important to watch before you visit. The next one, and I am not judging, is that Mexicans tend to not be great spellers, okay? Me neither. In English, horrible, okay? My student spelling gets worse and worse year after year, okay? So we understand Mexico, we understand. However, Mexico is a phonetic language. It is written how it sounds, and it sounds what it looks like, okay? Now there are some letters that make the same sound, so I get it. But coming from someone who is an English speaker, that you have read the color and I read the book, same pronunciation, two different spellings. I'm not exaggerating. Once on a menu, I saw cebolla, which means onion, spelled 4 different ways. Okay, I understand spelling is difficult. Some of the letters make the same sound, and the letter H is silent. I get it, but when you're comparing it to English, they should have an easy time. But I also realize like the opportunities for education in Mexico, especially in the older generations, is not the same as in the US. So you will find people that didn't finish high school more frequently in Mexico compared to the US. Again, not judging because I cannot spell in English. In Spanish, I got you though. Next, Mexicans add ley to their Spanish. They add it to a lot of verbs, whereas in other countries, they do not. For example, if you're walking with your little kid, the kid is walking in front of you and he's kind of poking along. In another country, you would tell him, camina, like walk, get walking. In Mexico, they add le, camínale, get walking. In other countries, if someone comes to your house and you want them to enter, you say pasa, pass, like come in. In Mexico, pásale, they add le. And I'm sure you've heard ándale on cartoons. So listen for that lay on the end of verbs, specifically if it's a command. It doesn't translate to anything. In this particular case, usually lay means him or her as an indirect object. It doesn't mean anything. It's just there because Mexico. And lastly, Mexicans have this like sales pitch voice. There's like this one voice they use in conversation, and then they have a totally different voice when they're selling something. I'm not even going to attempt to mimic it, but if you go to a market, you're going to notice it. Like everyone has like the same little fluctuation in the tone of their voice that they otherwise don't have unless they're at work trying to sell something. And speaking of that, even at the market, someone trying to sell you something, instead of saying escoge, like choose what you want, they're going to say escógele, adding that le. If someone gets onto your bus trying to sell something, begging for money, they're also going to have this sales pitch voice. And even sometimes they come off as sales pitchy when you meet them for the first time. I've especially noticed this on dates with someone. It's like he's trying to sell himself. He doesn't like get the tone of voice that they would get when they're trying to sell something, but like what he's saying comes off as sales pitchy, saying, yes, I can do this for you and I have this to offer, and it doesn't come off as very sincere, more like just trying to tell you what he thinks you want to hear kind of thing. If you have been to Mexico and you can think of more, please add it to the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to continue and follow me in my journey in moving from the US to Mexico, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next video.